सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। चैतन्यं सर्वगं सर्वं सर्वभूतगुहाशयं यत्सर्वविषयातीतं तस्मै सर्वविदे नमः। दुःखी स्यात् दुःख्यहं मानात् दुःखिनो दर्शनान्नवा संहतेऽङ्गादिभिर्द्रष्टा दुःखी दुःखस्य नैव सः। चक्षुर्वत्कर्मकर्तृत्वं स्याच्चेन्नानेकमेव तत्। संहतं च ततो नात्मा दृष्टत्वात् कर्मतां व्रजेत्। दुःखी स्यात् दुःखी अहं मानात्। दुःखी अहं मानात्. What is dukkhi? This body can be dukkhi, buddhi can be dukkhi. So dukkhi no darshanat na dukkhi syat. By darshanam, by knowing what is dukkhi, such as body, such as mind, such as intellect, the drashta does not become dukkhi simply by seeing, perceiving the dukkha or dukkhi. This dukkhi idea arises on account of identifying with the dukkha. Dukkha belongs to the shira, adi, dehavaya, in head, etc. That's where dukkha is. First, buddhi identifies with them and therefore becomes dukkhi. But Atma does not become dukkhi by seeing a buddhi that is dukkhi. Atma can become dukkhi when there is aham bhava. So buddhi is dukkhi not because of anything, because aham bhava, but otherwise darshanatma dukkhi bhave, just by darshanam, by witnessing, by seeing, one doesn't adopt or acquire the attributes of what is seen. Samhate angadivihi drashta dukkhi dukkhasya naiva saha. Therefore, so here it is said that if you become dukkhi just by watching a dukkhi, then anybody will become dukkhi when you see that. That doesn't happen. Angadivihi hastadi angaihi samhate dehe dukkham. So deha, or the body, which is the aggregate of the various limbs and the organs, tasya dukkhasya drashta, Saneva dukkhiti. So Atma is the drashta of dukkha. Again, Atma would have been dukkhi had he been identified with the dukkha or the body, etc. But Atma is merely drashta and therefore does not become dukkhi. By dukkha, there obtains in what is perceived or seen, namely body, etc. Dukkhino drashtutvevi. Atma is only drashta of the dukkhi. Dukkhitam atmano yojate. So buddhi can be called dukkhi in the primary sense. Dukkha is in the body consisting of various limbs and organs. The buddhi, on account of identifying his body, becomes dukkhi. And Atma, the self, is the witness of the dukkhi, buddhi that is dukkhi. This is how this setup is. Therefore, dukkha, therefore, drashta, Atma cannot be dukkhi by even dukkhina drashta. Dukkha drashta doesn't become dukkhi. Dukkhina said, dukkhino drashta. The sphere of dukkhi also doesn't become dukkhi. Dukkhino drashtutvevi dukkhitam atmana yujyate. Why not the Atma also becomes dukkhi by watching what is the dukkhi? So buddhi is dukkhi. Atma is the drashta of the dukkhi. So why not the drashta also becomes of the same kind? It is drishtantena shankata. It's a very unique example is given. Chakshurvat karma kartrutvam syat. So giving example of the eyes looking at themselves in the mirror. Here the eyes are the drashta also, and the eyes that are in the face are the drashta, and eyes that are in the mirror are the drishya. Same eye is drashta as well as drishya. How do you say that drashtutvam and drishyatvam cannot coexist? In this case of eyes, so it's a unique organ. You cannot give example of any other organ such as nose and ears because there is no darshanam there. So drashtutvam is not there. But eyes can see themselves in the mirror. So eyes are the seers as well as seen. Is it not so? Says no. So now when we talk of either any organ of perception or action, there are two aspects there. One is the physical location, which is called golaka. Other is the actual organ which is functioning. So eyes that you see here are the golaka, the physical location, where there is faculty of seeing, which is the part of subtle body. This location is part of gross body. The eyes which see through this organism, physical organism, is the subtle aspect. That is what is the conscious aspect, which is endowed with the faculty of seeing. So that faculty of seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, etc., each one of them requires a golaka or a physical location to function. If that physical location gets damaged, then that faculty of seeing also cannot function. It may be there, but it can't function. So that theoretically is therefore, even a blind man gets rebirth. He can get rebirth as a seeing person, sighted person, because the faculty of seeing is very much there, the subtle body. Here the point is that what sees is not this eye which is the physical location, the golaka, but the organ located in the golaka. What sees is the conscious entity called the eyes, which no doubt acquire that consciousness on account of mind, which acquires consciousness on account of the self. So self imparts consciousness, enlivens the mind in turn enlivens the eyes. That enlivened eye sees anything, not only eyes. Eyes see whatever is in front of them. Here this happens with a mirror, and then there is a reflection, and there is a face and eyes. So what is seen is the physical aspect of the eye. The one that sees is the conscious aspect of the eye. For example, when I see you, I think that I see a conscious being there. But consciousness cannot become the object of experience. What I see is only the body, which is a place of manifestation of consciousness. So when the eyes see the eyes in the mirror, those eyes they are the manifestation of consciousness, and they are perceived by the eyes which are conscious. In meaning that the drashta and drishya are different, is not the same entity that drashta and drishya. And this is possible in case of eyes. Because anekam eva tat, eyes are samhatam, an assembly or assemblage of number of components, and anekata is there. That the seeing eye is one thing, and the location eye is another thing, and therefore anekatva, therefore one part can see the other part. Both are eyes. But one aspect of eye, the conscious aspect, sees the other part of the eye, which is the physical aspect. So there is anekatvam in the eyes, and also eyes are an assembly of various things. So therefore, this is possible that one part can see the other part. So drashtutvam and drishyatvam can exist in an entity like eyes, which has anekatvam, manyness within itself. That's not the case with Atma. Now continuing with the verse 11. See, different schools of thought are taken up here for refuting, to establish the view of Vedanta, so that no doubt is left about what the Upanishad is teaching. This can be called the process of Maranam, where you take, the doubts are created, samshayas are created, and one by one they are refuted. Now you come to the Vaisheshikas and Naiyayikas. Nanu Atmanopi Jnanadibhi Anekatmatva Samabhavad. You say that Atma is one homogeneous consciousness, free from all internal divisions, undivided, indivisible, and therefore there cannot be one part interacting with the other part, not possible in Atma, is Niravayava. That's not right. Because Atma also possesses Jnanadibhi Anekatmakatvam, Ichcha, Dvesha, Sukham, Dukkham, Prayatna, all of these, according to Vaisheshika, are the attributes of Atma. So then if you take the position of the Vaisheshikas, which is also position of Naiyayikas, Jnanadibhi Anekatvam. So Anekatmakatvam is there because Jnana is also, Ichcha is there, Jnana is there, Prayatna is there, Dvesha also is there, Sukha also is there, Dukkha also is there. So Atma possesses all these attributes according to them, and therefore one part of Atma can see the other part, because there is Jnana part of Atma and there is Dvesha part of Atma, Ichcha Atma. So one part of Atma can see another part of Atma. But Anekatmakatvam is there. When entity consists of manyness, consists of many parts, in that case it is possible that one part can interact with another part. Body, for example, consists of many parts. So one part of the body can interact with other part, and so this is possible. So Atma consists of so many aspects, and therefore one aspect can interact with another one. So why can't you say that Atma cannot be its own drashta? Jnanadibhi Anekatmatva Sambhavad Chakshurat Bhasya Bhasakata Syat. Not only Chakshu has Anekatmakata, Atma also is anekatmata, the anekatmakatva, and therefore one part can see the other part. So to that the answer is given in the verse 11. Jnanayatnadyanekatvam atmanopi matam yadi naikajnana gunattvatu jyotirvattasya karmata. So first line is the Purva Paksha. Jnana, Prayatna, Ichha, Dveshadi and the others also. So according to Atma is possessed of the quality of Jnanam. Atma is not Jnana Swarupa, but Jnana is the attribute of Atma. In Satyam, Jnanam Anantam, Jnanam doesn't mean Jnana Swarupa, it means Jnana is a guna of the Atma. So Jnana, knowing, Prayatna, effort, Ichha, desire, Dvesha, aversion, etc. So Guna Bhedehi, Atma possesses all these different attributes within itself. Anekatmakatvad, Jnana Yatnadi Anekatvam Atmana. So there is a Jnana Atma, Ichha Atma, Dvesha Atma, Prayatna Atma. So therefore there is manyness within one Atma, Anekatmakatvam. Therefore, Atmanopi Kenchidamshena Vishistasya Grahyatvam Amshantarana Grahakatvam cha. So theoretically, Kenchid Amshena, by one Amsha such as Ichha, Grahyatvam, then Ichha Vishishta Atma becomes a Grahya. Amshantarana Grahakatvam, so Jnana Vishishta Atma becomes Grahaka. And Ichha Vishishta Atma can become Grahya. It's possible. Therefore, the first line said, Jnana Yatnadi Anekatvam Atmanopi Matam Yadi. If this is what is your position, ita matam, if that is your matam, and therefore you say that one aspect of Atma can interact with other aspect of the Atma, like body, one part can interact with the other part. The Shanka Granthartha. So first line is Shanka. And the explanation Tikakara gave is the explanation of Shanka. The second line is Naika Jnana Gunatvatu Jyotirvattasya Karmata. Na Eka Jnana Gunatvatu. Tu Shabda Shanka Nishedhartha. Tu but Parantu, but no, that cannot be. Meaning what? Naivam, it is not so. So na eka, so na is the answer. Eka jnana gunatvatu jyotirvattasya karmata. Maevam, let it not, may it not be so. Why do you say na? Hetu, eka jnana gunatvad. That's the hetu. Meaning that Atma possesses one guna, namely jnanam, that's all. It's only guna that Atma possesses, eka jnanam, merely jnanam is the nature of Atma. You call it guna, we don't accept, but then still, it doesn't possess many gunas. Suppose jnana is even accepted as a guna, just for the sake of argument. Then also we say that Atma possesses one guna, namely jnanam. Ek jnana gunatvat, from which, where does Krishna prajnana ghana eva iti? Prajnana ghana, Atma is called prajnana ghana, a mass of consciousness, meaning that homogeneous consciousness, merely consciousness alone, admitting nothing else in between. So Atma is dense consciousness, admitting of no unconscious entity, therefore Ichha, Dvesha, Prayatna, etc. Your unconscious entities cannot be the qualities or attributes of Atma. Vishvutya, ज्ञानेक स्वभावत्व अवधारणात् प्रज्ञानगण एव. The Shruti says only prajnanagana, only mass or homogeneous consciousness. So, jnana ekasvata avadharanat. The Shruti emphasizes the jnana ekatva svavattvam, that Atma is of the nature of consciousness and nothing else. Anekatmatva yoga, therefore, there cannot be split within Atma, manyness in Atma. Atma this also and that also is not possible. Atma is of merely of the nature of consciousness. So answer is na ek gunatvat. Then the drishtanta jyotirvat tasya na jyotirvat tasya karmata na. Or jyotirvat tasya karmata. So again that na goes there, jyotirvat tasya na karmata. Grahyata tasya na sambhavati parihara granthartha. But Jyoti is just of the nature of light. And therefore light cannot be the object, light cannot objectify itself. It's only of the nature of light, admits of nothing else, no darkness, and therefore there are no parts in Jyoti that one part can illumine the other part. This has been discussed earlier. The lamp does not illumine itself, it just shines. Just as in Jyoti or the light or a lamp, there is no self-illumination. That lamp illuminating itself, similarly also, this grahi grahakata cannot be in the Atma. Now, drishtandam vyachasya, drishtanta was said. So, pratignyana, hetu eka gunatvat, drishtanta jyotirvat. So, drishtandam vyachasya jyotirvat, like the light. So, in what way do you mean, says here? ज्योतिषोद्योतकत्वेऽपि यद्वन्नात्मप्रकाशनम् भेदेप्येवं समत्वाज्ञः आत्मानं नैव पश्यति. So Drishtandam Vyachaste, so Jyotirvat, that example Jyotihi or the light is explained here. Jyotisha Dyotakatvevi, even though the light possesses the quality or the nature of illumination, Yadvatna Atma Prakashanam, like a lamp or like the sun, or any entity which is the lighted entity, that does not, even though it shines, it does not illuminate itself. This has been all brought up earlier. No, so Jyotakatva, even though the light shines, it illumines. Na Atma Prakashanam, to illuminate the nature of the light, and therefore it is not that light is illuminating itself. भेदेपि एवं समत्वात् ज्ञः आत्मानं नैव पश्यति. Samatvat, similarly, Jnana, the Atma is Samatvat, homogeneous consciousness, therefore, Atmanam naiva pashyati. So, ayam artha, the Tikakar explains, यदि आत्मनः ग्राह्य ग्राहक अंश भेद अभ्युपगम्यते भेदेपि, यदि आत्मनः ग्राह्य ग्राहकांश भेद अभ्युपगम्यते, there is a grahya amsha, that aspect that perceives, perceived, grahak amsha, aspect that perceives. Suppose you accept that, then what problem will be there? If according to you the Atma is split like this, that one part of the Atma becomes the perceiver of the other part of the Atma, suppose that is what the position is, then let us examine that position. Is it feasible that Atma can objectify itself in some way? यदि आत्मनः ग्राह्य ग्राहक अंश भेदः विवगम्यते, according to you, is accepted the bheda or the split in Atma between grahya, one part of the Atma becomes grahya and Atma becomes grahaka also. Atma is grahya and grahaka both. Even if it is not part, then still. Tada idam, then you have to explain this. Grahyansopi chetanah kimva jadaha. So that amsha, the aspect of Atma that is grahya or objectified or seen, is it chetana or jada? Tell us. Tatra adyam nirakaroti. See, we are talking grahya amsha. That which is perceived or objectified, is it chetana or jada? Adyam nirakaroti. The first one is so drishtantena. Gives here the teacher drishtanta to refute the idea that the drishya can be chetana. So jyotisha iti jyotisha dyotakatvebi yadvadna atma prakashanam. So if the what is illumined is chetana, that is not possible because adityadi jyotisha dyotakatvebi, the luminary such as aditya etc. Dyotakatvebi, even though it is shining, illumining. Prakashana swabhavatvebi. Atma prakashana. Dyotakatva means prakashana swabhavatvebi. Prakashana illumining. Even though it is nature of the aditya etc. to illumine, to shine, reveal. The Atma prakashanam. That aditya, we know very well that aditya just shines, it doesn't illumine itself because shining is enough. Aditya does not require to illuminate itself to shine because shining is the nature of aditya. That will be further explained. Na jyoti swarup prakashanam. So aditya does not illumine the light which is its nature. So Atma cannot illumine the consciousness which is its nature. So what is illumine grahya? Cannot be chetana because Atma is chetana and therefore there can be self-illumination. Tadvat evam yatha dushtantah. So tadvat, just as this dushtanta, tatha bhedepi amsa veda kalpanepi. Suppose bhedepi. Suppose we imagine that the Atma is the illuminator, Atma is illumined. Even then also, if Atma is consciousness, self-shining is the nature of Atma, then Gniha Atma smatva chaitanya svava avisheshat Atmanam nipashyati. Just as sun, which of nature of light, does not see itself, does not illuminate itself, similarly, Atma, being of nature of consciousness, cannot illuminate itself. Therefore, there cannot be grahya, grahaka duality. In Atma, if Atma is accepted as Chetana, what is illumined is Chetana, then Chetana cannot illumine Chetana. Just light does not illumine light. So, grahya amsha, Chetana grahya amsha is not feasible, not tenable. Samatvat, Chaitanya Swavat, so Visheshat, Swava, Avisheshat, Atmanam Nipashyati. Samatvat means Chaitanya Swabha Avisheshat. The Grahaka also is Chaitanya, Grahya also is Chaitanya. Therefore, Samatva, there is no Vishesha between the illuminated and illumined. Therefore, that relation cannot be established in two entities which possess the same nature. And therefore, if you say that Grahya is Chetana, then it is not possible Atma is Chetana and homogeneously Chetana. Therefore, there cannot be that Atma illumines itself. Like sun, which is nature of light, to illumine is the nature of sun, we see that sun does not illumine itself because it doesn't require, it just shines. Na swamsam vishay karoti ityartha. So that the grahyaamsa is chetana is not tenable. Other is what jada? Na dvitiya jada jadayoho amsham sitva ne abheda anupatte. So this is also the position of the Mimamsakas, Bhatta Mimamsakas. One part of Atma is Chetana, other part of Atma is Jada. So that's not possible. So Jada Jadayoho Amsham Sitvena. How can Chetana become the Amshi? That one part of the Atma is Jada or inert or unconscious. How can conscious Atma become the possessor of a part which is unconscious? They cannot go together. The conscious and unconscious cannot coexist as part and whole. So, amsha, amshitvena, bheda, anupattehe. That bheda of the split as the whole and part is anupattehe, is untenable because they cannot coexist. Grahyamshasya na grahyamshasya atmatam it is na atmana. And therefore, that grahyamsa cannot be jada. If it is jada, it cannot be atma. And therefore, what is grahya or perceived cannot be atma. It is na atma. Therefore, all this discussion is there. The atma sees itself because that is the position of some people who, the Bauddhas. So, saram dukkham dukkham, saram kshanikam kshanikam, saram shunyam shunyam, saram swasamvedyam swasamvedyam. There are four eternal truths. Saram dukkham, everything is dukkham. Everything kshanikam, momentary. Everything is shunyam, non-existent. Swasamvedyam, that the Atma knows itself, Buddhi is the Atma, that Buddhi knows itself. So Swasamvedyatvam is accepted by Buddhas, which is what is examined here. If Atma is consciousness, Swasamvedyatvam is not possible because consciousness cannot objectify consciousness. If the Samvedya part is unconscious, then they cannot coexist because conscious and unconscious cannot coexist. Therefore, na atmana swasamvedyatva siddhi iti dushram. So while even talking with Nayayikas, Vaisheshikas, etc. also, that one part of Atma knows the other part, etc. is not possible. Therefore, swasamvedya, self, knowing its own self is not possible in any way. Dushram sfutameva iti upekshitam. So here the teacher does not specifically take or refute the position of swasamvedyatvam or knowing itself because it is very clear in this discussion. Therefore, upekshitam drashtavyam, meaning that we are not even addressing this position of Bauddhas that Atma is swasamvedya, it doesn't deserve to be addressed when we already discussed this. All right. Swarupena, amsadvasa swarupena. Just as sun is the nature of light, there is no grahya grahakatvam. Amsadvarena. If you imagine amsa in the Atma, then also is not tenable because whether amsa is chetana or achetana, none of them can be grahya. So, yadyapi atmanam nai pashyati, atma atmanam nai pashyati. All right. So that way, Swarupena, Amshadvarena va yadyapi, Atma, Atmanam nai pashyati. All right. So Atma cannot perceive itself if Atma is of the nature of consciousness, or Atma can perceive supposedly a part of it. None of this position is tenable. Tathapi Swaguna Jnanasya. Now again the Vaisheshika say that even if you forget, Jnana is guna of Atma. So Atma is Dravya and possess is the quality of knowledge or consciousness. And according to them, when that Dravya called Atma comes in contact with mind, then this consciousness manifests. In short, Jnanam or consciousness is the quality of Atma. Not Swarupa of the Atma, but the quality of Atma, understand? Swaguna Jnanasya Karmatvam. So Jnanam is the guna. It's not amsha, understand? Now they are examining the position that Jnana is not amsha because that is not tenable. If Jnana is guna or quality of Atma, cannot Atma become the knower of its own guna? That way, Swaguna Jnanasya Karmatvam Gamishyati. Atma being conscious, see, being having possessing the quality of guna, God knowledge, and then knowledge as guna can become the object of knowledge. Swaguna Jnanasya Karmatvam Gamishyati. Now Jnanam is knowledge. Now Jnanam is guna of the Atma. Will not that knowledge know the Atma? Because to know is the nature of knowledge. Atma possesses the quality of knowledge. Then, of that knowledge, which is quality of Atma, would not Atma become the object of knowledge? Because that knowledge objectifies everything. Then knowledge is guna or quality of Atma. Would that knowledge not know Atma? Would not Atma become the object of that knowledge which is guna of Atma? Swaguna Jnanasya Karmatvam Gamishyati. Atma. Atma can become the object of Jnanam, which is its own guna or quality. So Atma becomes the Drishya. Iti Ashankya Yad Dharma iti. So verse 13 says, Yad Dharma Yah Padartho Na Tasye Veyat Sakarmatam Nahyatmanam Dahatyagnihi Tatha Naiva Prakashayed. यह पदार्थ यद धर्म न तस्य कर्मताम याद. यह पदार्थ यद धर्म और यद धर्म ये न असाधन धर्मेण धर्मवान. यद धर्म ये न धर्मवान यद धर्म. So this is a general rule. यह पदार्थ यद धर्म. Whatever padartha is there, substance is there, entity is there, which possesses dharma. What dharma? Asadhana dharma. Sadhana dharma is there, but jnanam is the asadhana dharma in this particular case. Fragrance is asadhana dharma, for example, of earth. And similarly, light is the asadhana dharma of sun. So asadhana dharma. Similarly, knowledge, consciousness is said to be the unique dharma or attribute of Atma. स तस्य धर्मस्य कर्मताम न यात. The locus of a dharma cannot become the object of a dharma. Tasya dharmasya karmatam na yat. What will be the dharma of an entity? That entity cannot become the object of the same dharma. Basically, because Vedanta does not accept the split between dharma and dharmi. It is swarupa. And therefore, tatha cha jnana swabhatma na jnana karmatam gantum arhati. Similarly, the jnana swabhava atma, which is supposed to be jnana swabhava according to you, the atma possessing the nature of knowledge or the quality of knowledge cannot become objectified as the same knowledge. Why do you say that? So second line gives you Drishtanta. Drishtanta bhaga spashtata. Nahi atmanam dahati agni. See, dahanam is the nature of Agni or fire. Fire does not burn itself. Again, to eliminate the nature of fire, fire does not eliminate itself. Nahi atmanam dahati agni tasa naiva atmanam prakashayet. See, fire does not burn fire. Fire burns firewood. Fire burns fuel, not fire. And fire eliminates other things, does not eliminate itself, because to eliminate its nature. So there cannot be karma, kartru karmatvam, when something is one's nature. So jnana svabha is svabha. Jnana, if jnana is the nature of Atma, then there cannot be a split of the karma karta within the nature and one possessing the nature. Says Atma, so the conclusion is this: Atma na sviya dharma vyapya padarthatvat agnivad. So even if you assume that jnana is the dharma of the Atma, then also you have an example of fire, of which burning, to burn is the nature of fire, to eliminate the nature of fire. Even though fire possesses the nature of burning, it does not burn itself, meaning that nature does not act upon itself. The fire means, again, does not act upon itself. So also if Atma is possessed of the nature of knowledge, it cannot act upon itself, that it cannot become object of that same knowledge which it possesses. Atma na sviya dharma vyapya. The conclusion is, Atma is not vyapya, cannot be pervaded by, objectified by its own dharma. In this case, the knowledge. Padarthatvat, because according to you, Atma also is a dravya or a padartha. Agnivaditi. So this is neither any padartha or an entity. A substance or an entity, padartha. An object. It is nature of any object that it cannot be objectified by its own dharma, its own nature. Example, just fire cannot be burned by itself, nor can it be illumined by itself. So Atma cannot be known by itself. Knowledge is the attribute of Atma in your dharma of the Atma. Uktanyayana vijnanavadi bauddhopi nirakrita ityaha. See, this is all kept in mind. Ultimately, one by one, all these mallas are destroyed. Now you come to the Prasamalla, it is about that. So they took the Sankhyas and took the Vaisheshikas, Naiyayikas and so on and so forth, and some other people may be there, but then finally, Ukta Nyayana, by the Nyaya, what's the Nyaya? That one, there cannot be Swasamvedyatvam. One cannot object, a homogeneous entity cannot become the object of its own nature. It's not a homogeneous entity, then one part can become the object of the other part, but when there is homogeneous consciousness, and consciousness cannot be a part which is unconscious because they cannot coexist. If consciousness cannot be objectified anywhere, so Atma being the nature of consciousness cannot have unconscious part, nor can it self-illumine, it is self-shining, therefore there cannot be this relationship of drashta drushya or swasamveditvam within one's own self. Uktanyayana vijnanavadi bauddhopi nirakrita iti. So vijnanavadi, the kshanika vijnani, they look upon buddhi as the Atma, and buddhi is constantly changing, therefore Atma is constantly changing. This is what one school of Buddha thinks. Nirakrita. Two schools are prominent, the four of which two schools are prominent. The kshanika vijnana is shunyavadi. So, eteneva, then next verse is eteneva atmana atmanah graho buddher nirakritah. अंशोऽप्येवं समत्वाद्धि निर्भेदत्वान्न युज्यते. Etina eva, meaning by the line of argument that we presented so far, the conclusion that we have arrived at, Atma na swiyadhana vyapya padarthatvat agnivat. So etena, by this reason, by this line of arguments, Atmana, Atmana it says, but it should be Atmana. So the footnote 1 says Atma ityavi sadhu patha. But then Atman, etani, Atman, then the Chando Bhang will be there. Therefore, for the purpose of Chandas or the meter, Atmanah, it should be Atmanah. That the Tikakara will say. Etaneva, Atmana, Atmanah Graha, Atmana, instrumental case. Atmana, sixth case. Graha. So, Atmana Graha. Graha, the perception of Atma by Atma. Buddhi, for them Buddhi is Atma. Therefore, Atma of the nature Buddhi can perceive itself, that position, Swasamveditvam, has also been refuted by this. So, Tika says, Atma iti asmin, Atmana iti chandasa prayoga. So, Atmana iti chandasa prayoga, it should be Atmana. So, says, Buddhehe, Atmana, Surupasya. So, now Atmana, sixth case, Buddhehe also sixth case, therefore they go together. Buddhehe, Atmana, Surupasya, Atmana. Atmana is what? Svenaiva, Buddhehe, Atmana. Buddhehe, Surupasya. Atmana Svenaiva. So the essential nature of Buddhi cannot be grasped or objectified by Buddhi itself. Iti, so Atmana Graha, that the self perceives itself by itself, that Bauddha Paksha eteneva ukta dushtanta prabandhani nirakrita. So various dushtantas that we gave here in these various verses, like Jyotisha, like Agneha, etc. So by this, Drishtanta Prabandhena, so by this series of the illustrations that were given, Bauddha Paksha, the Atma knows itself has been Nirakrita, has been refuted, it should be understood. Swarupasya Swarupainava Grahatva Bhavepi. All right. Atma, the nature of consciousness, cannot become the knower of the consciousness. So grahya grahatva cannot exist within consciousness. But ekamshana grahatvam, amshantana grahagatvam, but then in homogeneous Atma, but still coming back to saying the one part of the Atma can eliminate the part of Atma. Why not? Kalpana vyata na ghate. That kalpana also is not possible in Atma. Amshopi evam samatvad, because Atma is samatvad. Atma is of nature of homogeneous consciousness. Therefore, amshamsi, that division cannot be. Nirbhedatvad, that internal division, amshamsi, cannot be. Samatvad, because Atma is sama, or homogeneously consciousness. And therefore, na yujyate, in homogeneous, that cannot be bheda, or the split of the grahya and grahaka. Evam mean what? Anshapi eva. Eva means pragukta vartma. By the Vartman's past, by means the reasoning that is presented so far. Samattvadi nirbhedatvadeti. So what reasoning have presented? Samatvad the nirbhedatvadeti. Samatvad nirbhedatvam. That's what it is. Samatvad nirbhedatvad. Samatvad nirbhedatvam. Samatva means what? Homogeneousness. Because Atma is homogeneously consciousness. Therefore there cannot be split, internal split, because consciousness is undivided, indivisible. Therefore, one part objectifying other part cannot be because Atma cannot have parts. And one self objectifying oneself also cannot be, because one cannot objectify one's own dharma. Dharma cannot objectify itself. Let me explain how the light does not illumine itself. So these two positions of the Buddhas of Kshanika Vijnanam, that Atma knows itself, and the Vaisheshikas Atma knows itself. The Buddhas say Atma knows itself because there is Swasamvedyatvam, self-knowingness in consciousness. And Vaisheshikas, Naiyayikas say Atma knows itself, that one part knows the other part. Both these positions have been refuted here. एवं बुद्धे स्वग्राह्यत्व निराकरण अर्थात अन्यग्राह्यत्व उपक्षिप्तम, दिस इज अनदर इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. एवं बुद्धे स्वग्राह्यत्व निराकरण, so that buddhi, which is atma for Buddhas, so anything, swagráhyatvam, one thing cannot perceive oneself. You cannot ride on your own shoulders, you cannot lift yourself by your bootstrap, that's what the British say. Similarly, one cannot be knower and known simultaneously. So Atma cannot know itself. Here Atma is buddhi. So buddhi also cannot know itself. So arthat, anyagrah, that means, then what happens? It means that buddhi is known by another entity. So buddhi is known is the fact. And buddhi cannot know itself. Therefore, arthat, therefore as a consequence, it is established that buddhi is known by someone else. That means there is someone other than buddhi. That buddhi is known is a fact. And buddhi cannot be swasamvedya, buddhi cannot know itself. Therefore, as a consequence, we arrive at a position that buddhi is known by some other entity, which is Atma in our case. Anyatha tasyaha kshanikatva asiddhe. You claim that buddhi is kshanikam. How do you say, unless there is witness, how do you establish the nature of anything? So you say buddhi kshanika, therefore kshanika buddhi is known. Now you claim that kshanika buddhi knows itself. But we said that knowing oneself is not tenable, and buddhi is kshanika, therefore the kshanika buddhi or momentary buddhi is known by some other entity. Otherwise, if there is no witness, then nothing is established without the witness. That something is can be only established when it is witnessed by something. That buddhi is kshanika also can be established when there is witness is kshanika or momentary buddhi. Now when we say that tatra mabhud tarhi buddhi, all right. So we say that buddhi itself is not there. So the knower of buddhi, the question of knower of buddhi will arise if buddhi is accepted to be there. We say buddhi is not there. So there is no knower also. Now here accepting the existence of buddhi, and that buddhi is kshanika, and that buddhi cannot know itself. By that you are accepting the knower of the buddhi, different from buddhi, you are accepting Atma. The Shunyavadi says, who says there is buddhi? Now you say that buddhi's existence cannot be established under the witness. We say buddhi doesn't exist. Therefore there is no witness of buddhi. Therefore, matatra matarhi buddhihi, let buddhi not be there. Tad grahakasya paraha. Then buddhi is not there. There is no need to accept the grahaka, the perceiver of buddhi. We said that to establish the existence of buddhi, you require perceiver of buddhi. Without perceiver, existence can't be established. He says buddhi is not there. So perceiver also is not there. Shunyameva atma tattvam. Then only atma is shunya. So buddhi is atma, buddhi is shunya. Or your atma is also is shunya. Astu iti vadinam. Now comes to shunyavadi. Shunyata pina yuktaivam. बुद्धेरन्येन दुष्यता युक्तातो घटवत्तस्याः प्राक्सिद्धेश्च विकल्पतः. Shunyata bhi evam na yukta. Shunyata also is not tenable. Why? Buddhehe anyene dushita yukta. That buddhi is perceived by another entity is only proper. Ghatavat. Like ghata is substance or is an object and it is perceived by some other entity. So buddhi is like a ghata, like an entity. Therefore, it is only proper that buddhi is perceived by someone else. Not that buddhi doesn't exist. And that someone else has to accept it for other reason also. There must be something other than buddhi. Existing even when buddhi is not there. Why is it so? Tasyaha vikalpataha. Because buddhi is a vikalpa. Buddhi is a karya. And karya presupposes karanam. Therefore, buddhi being karya presupposes karanam. And therefore, there must be something other than buddhi, which is the perceiver of buddhi. You have to accept that. You have to accept an entity other than buddhi. You cannot say it is shunya. Although you can't explain life. The thing is that all this is meant to explain our experience. You can just have any theory in the air and explains nothing. So what's the use of that theory? All these so-called darshanas or philosophies are meant to explain life. So that then you are resolved as to how things are, and then that's how you understand the truth. You come with some kind of fancy theory which doesn't explain anything. Shunyavada, then what's the point of just having a theory? So buddhi, you can't say it is not there because you experience it. It is known and like a part. What is known is like a part. And part is the karya. And karya presupposes karana. So buddhi presupposes also its own cause, which precedes. The karanam always should exist before karya. The clay should exist before the pot. And so the cause of buddhi has to be accepted, and that precedes the buddhi. And therefore, you would accept an entity. The Atma has to be accepted. So this is how the argument is made in this verse. We will continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurti Namah. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.